Do you know any families, honest question, do you know any families where the woman is the provider in the home, where it works,
Okay.
where there's a happy union and there is a successful marriage and all is just lovely?
There's Scott Galloway and Richard Reeves, who I both, I have a lot of respect for these guys, but they're both talked about in different situations in their life when they were academics and their wives made more money than them and they had stayed at home and took care of the kids. I think in those situations, it's rare because Scott Galloway is a professor at a university and Richard Reeves is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute and a noted author. So even though their wives made less money, they had husbands to look up to. They were still famous academics. Right. And so in that case, I do think it works. One of the great analogies that I love so much is my buddy Orion Taraban, who's coming on my show again next week or next month. Orion Taraban talks about in his book, The Value of Others, men can only be captains. When you talk about men and women can be the captain or the passenger. Men cannot be passengers. They can only be the captain. Society does not accept men as passengers yet. Maybe they will in the future, but it is unrealistic to believe that that's the case now. And the reason why is not because men are putting this pressure on other men. When you ask, again, 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and we have a 56% divorce rate in this country. And one of the top 3 reasons why women claim that they're filing for divorce is because the man makes less money, he's unemployed or underemployed, or he makes less money than she does. So if you see that as the case, what does that tell you? The idea of man being the passenger is not accepted by women. And this is one of the biggest double standards I've seen, Jedediah.
It's a turnoff.
Well, it's not just that. It's the idea that these gender norms, like me being more aggressive, more assertive, and more dominant, and me trying to make more money, is a function of patriarchy, and men are the ones creating these gender roles. It's not men doing this. We're only doing this for women. That's the reason why we've been doing this since the beginning of time. Gender roles.
It's a turnoff because it's limiting, right? Yeah. You as a woman, you can't then just decide you don't want to work. You can't make decisions the way that you would if the guy were carrying the load, right? And it's a nice idea to say, oh yeah, I want to work, I want to have my own money. You know, that you're inculcated to believe that that's the way, the truth, and the life as a woman. But it limits your options because then it's really on you to make sure that ship doesn't sink. Now, it's interesting you gave examples where those men, even though they were making less money in certain moments in their marriage, they were still in a position of prestige, right?
Yes.
So they're still being looked at as this prestigious job. I will tell you also, I think it can work, and this happened to me. I met my husband. I was working at Fox News. I wasn't making great money. People think all these contributors make great money. You don't. But I wasn't making great money. And then all of a sudden, overnight, I got this job at The View, which I really didn't want, to be completely honest with you. And my salary skyrocketed like 4 or 5 times overnight, right? So there was a window there where I suddenly was making all this money. However, he was making enough money where if I woke up one day and said, I cannot stand Joy Behar's bullshit for one more second, it would have been fine. He would have just been able to carry that easily.
Sure.
We weren't reliant on my salary. We weren't,
yes.
It was fun. It happened for a minute. And then I got fired because Hillary Clinton had, menstrual cramps or something that day. But regardless, you can't when you have to rely on the woman and that becomes the breadwinner, and the guy is kind of deflated and he's not having some prestigious professor job or he's just playing with the kids. It does many things to a woman's mindset. Suddenly she feels the stress of, oh my God, this is all on me. And it also does something hormonally. We covered a clip where we were talking about what it does to testosterone. And it really shrinks men's testosterone to be, home playing with the kids all day long. Yeah. And it grows women's testosterone to be out doing the career climb. So then the sexual dynamics of the home and it doesn't work anymore. So the reason I say it doesn't work is because when I see those situations, by and large, with maybe an exception here and here, when those guys still have a lot of prestigious roles or whatever, I'm saying by and large, when the woman is a provider, I see a sexless marriage. I see super stressed out women. I see guys that get increasingly feminized. It's a mess. And maybe, just maybe, nature had it right. And men are supposed to act like men and women are supposed to act like women. And, women try and be men. It's just, it's not working out the way that, Gloria Steinem told us it would.
Yes. If you listen to Gloria Steinem's advice, your woman will leave you. Again, you can keep talking about how unfair this is and how society should just accept men staying at home and taking care of the kids while the woman provides. That would be great. But every time it is put into practice, almost every time it is put into practice, women will then leave those men. You can't, again, this is what the point I was trying to make before. When we talk about gender norms in society, one of the things that happens is it's usually liberals and feminists who are saying that it is males and patriarchy specifically that is enforcing these gender roles on society. No, it's not. It is gender roles are almost entirely perpetrated by females, because if it wasn't that case, these are the things that women reward men for. When you survey them, they say they want men who are more aggressive, more assertive, more dominant, make more money, taller, faster, stronger than they themselves. Women are surveyed and said they want men who make about 1.6, meaning 60% more in income than they make. So you keep saying these things that women want these better things, then that's essentially what's going to happen. Men who provide those things, the upper body strength, and are able to provide, you know what Rollo says, have a baby in one arm while slitting throats with the other one. That whole paradigm, if women keep rewarding those men with sex, then that is how society is going to look. But you can't blame men for that.